Hello, how are you, Clarence?
Doing very, very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm talking with Clarence Williams IV, and he is our featured director and producer of one of our official selections of The Hollow, Bite Me. So, um, tell us about Bite Me. How did it come to existence?
Yes, so it's actually a project that was written by my wife, Christina Araujo Williams. It is
Mm-hmm.
a horror comedy. A guy loves having fun with the ladies, so he matches with women on a dating site. He invites her over, and little does he know, she has other plans for a day together. That's the rundown without giving away everything that happens in it. But in a nutshell, it is short about a vampire.
Yeah, I watched it, I think, three times. And I watched it with my son because my son's 19. So, I knew it would appeal to him after I saw it, and I was kind of, when I was watching it with him, when I was watching it with him, it was kind of like, I wonder if when it was written, if you guys meant it as being funny or a cautionary tale. And I was like, I wonder if that was intentional or it just happened to be an added bonus. But yeah, so your thoughts on that?
That's funny. So definitely it wasn't intended to be a cautionary tale, but it kind of comes off like that because it's like, this is a guy who's probably done this, quite a few times, inviting girls over, hooking up, and, peace out. But this
Yeah,
time it was a little bit different. So, and there actually is a line in the film that's like, yeah, you got to be more careful about who you invite into your home. So it
right.
could be perceived as a cautionary tale because I'm sure the main character Liam was not expecting to well, am I allowed to give away what happens in it, or do you want to?
Sure, absolutely. Because I think that we talk about it, we build it up, but I think that it'll attract people to see, to come more too if we talk about it. You know,
Yeah, no,
so
absolutely. So pretty much though, he does end up becoming a victim of the vampire. So it definitely, I wasn't while making it, I wasn't intending it to be a cautionary tale, but it could definitely be interpreted as that because if he hadn't invited her over, none of that would have happened. So
yeah, absolutely. So when you did your casting, did you put it out an open call for casting, or did you use friends, or because they seem very comfortable with each other?
So it's funny. So the actress that plays Quinn, the
Mhm.
vampire, that's Ratoya Banks. So she's actually a friend of ours, and we've actually worked with her on quite a few projects. Now Napoleon, the actor who plays Liam, he was
Mhm.
somebody that we cast through a site called Breakdown Express. So we
Mhm.
actually never worked with him prior to Bite Me, but we have worked with Ratoya. So she was a repeat offender, you could say, or a recurring
Right.
actor that we use. But this was our first time working with Napoleon. Napoleon and Ratoya had never worked together prior, but I think they had great chemistry. And we did do a rehearsal beforehand, like before the film day, so they were able to kind of get to know each other a little bit, vibe off of each other, and kind of play with those dynamics. But yeah, it was definitely. I think we were definitely lucky to cast two actors that had great chemistry and
Oh yeah.
were able to kind of sell this wild story.
Yeah, because in watching it, even from the beginning, from when he opens the door, and he sees and she's there, I could tell that it was, that they had a good working relationship. And that's the other thing, besides opening the door, but the way you filmed it when she's coming up and you don't see her face, and and you did a lot of those anticipatory shots, that really I think worked, with the film, because I think everybody, even with the title "Bite Me," you kind of have an idea of what's going to happen, you know, but you held back just enough to make everybody want, to everybody watch and be like, who is this Quinn? And then the flashing of her eyes, like when she walks in, it was enough of a tell, but but it really kept us, interested, and it made it enjoyable. you know, to watch because you were thinking about, you know, what came next. Excuse me. Oh, Calix is here. Hold on. We're adding her to the stage. Hello.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you before.
No, that's okay. We're just talking. We're recording, so we're just talking, and we're coming in. We talked about a little bit of the movie Bite Me. He introduced himself, and now while you're here, while Calix just came on, why don't we backtrack a little bit and tell us a little bit about your cinematography history and all that stuff, and some of the past projects that brought you to this point. Now, was this the first time you tried a comedy, or?
No, so I've actually played with a lot of different genres throughout my, I guess you could say, career making movies. So my background, I'm originally from the East Coast. Actually, I'm from New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. Hey, where
yeah. So when you said East Coast, I was like, yeah. So I know.
We're in Jersey. We're in Jersey. That's why.
Oh, what area? I was originally from Maplewood, New Jersey.
Oh, I'm from Cedar Grove, and she's in Newark.
Oh, yeah, that's actually not too far. That's not too far.
No, it's not.
That's cool. Small world.
Yeah. I wonder, did you go to Maplewood High School?
So I didn't go to Columbia. I went to private school, but
okay.
I went to elementary school. I went to Tuscan in Maplewood. So
okay.
I know people from Maplewood too. So yeah, no, it's definitely been a big part of my life.
Oh, so because my best friend from growing up, she teaches at Columbia. So I was gonna be like, did you have Mrs. Booker?
That would have been a really small world.
I know, right? All right, so I digress. Let's talk about how we got here in your cinematography career. Go ahead.
Yeah, so so I've been making movies, writing scripts, directing, all of that fun stuff since I was 10 years old. I made a video for my history class about the history of Georgia way back when. So that was the first time I made a movie. And the response I got from like my teachers, my peers, it inspired me to, kind of keep going. And I've been at it ever since. So I've written, directed, edited a variety of short films, 3 independent feature films. I've also written, not directed, but just written some Christmas films that are currently streaming on BET Plus. I was also a writer on an action thriller that is also streaming on BET Plus. So the Christmas films are called So Fly Christmas and Too Many Christmases. And then the action film is called The Accused. So I've definitely, and of course, throughout that time as well, just been doing a lot of shorts, gone to quite a few film festivals. So I went to Carnegie Mellon University. I was a directing major there. And then after graduating, I moved out to LA and I've been here ever since. Met my wife. She also is a writer, producer. She does casting. She was the writer of Bite Me. And we've been working together ever since. And I just love film.
That's fantastic. I always think it's special, when you work with so closely with somebody, whether it's your significant other or what have you. Like I said, I work with my wife. We own the business together, and I think and so I think that, and I've said it to other people, it's like if you can own a business with somebody, it's like if you want to plan a future with somebody, open a business. If you can write with that person, if you can manage a business with that person, like you can get through the apocalypse. You
can do whatever. After that business, you can take on the world.
Absolutely. So not to hog the stage, but Calix, did you want to add to our conversation?
Oh, I'm just listening. I don't really have any questions at the ready just yet. The end, like I guess we should put these films on BT Plus. But how come you've done like this broad range of genres? Do you have one that you're sticking with, or?
That's a good question. And honestly, no. I mean, my favorite. I love horror movies, and I love comedies as well. But honestly, I don't want to be put in a box. So I like to do a little bit of everything. That's why I have the projects like Bite Me, but then also have kind of like the wholesome family Christmas movies, but then also a gritty action movie as well. So I definitely want to show people that I'm adaptable. I can work in different genres, and just have fun with it.
Right. Tell the story, right? Just tell the story. So what is your, I guess, your favorite go-to kind of like shot. Like some people are known for how they pan. Some people are known for how they stage it, right? So what do you think is the most for your types, even action, or what do you think carries across all the genres that's impactful to your audience, which that's your go-to?
So two things I like to do in a lot of my projects. I like mirror shots. So where a character is standing in front of a mirror. So in Bite Me, there's a
Yeah.
scene of him dancing and talking to himself, kind of getting ready for the date. So I do quite a bit of that. Even in like my early work, when I was in high school and middle school, I would have shots of characters in front of the mirror, whether they were just kind of looking at themselves, reflecting, or kind of doing dancing, talking to themselves, maybe doing a little rap. I don't know what it is about mirror shots, but I just love the look of, the camera being behind a character and you see the reflection and you see kind of what their internal monologue is, or external, depending on what's going on. But yeah, so that's one thing that I think is consistent throughout a lot of my work is mirror shots. A lot of, especially in the bathroom mirror shots.
Yeah, because it's like an over-the-shoulder kind of point of view shot, and so you can really get in close to. It's like a voyeurism, but not really,
Yeah, in a way, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. Who do you when you draw upon, past or current, directors or writers, when you're doing such a broad array of things, like who would you say, is your biggest influences for, like, say when you did The Accused as opposed to when you did, Bite Me or Too Many Christmases? Like, do you have a director person that you kind of research and fall back on and say, well, how did they do this? Or is it more all your independent creativity that you're drawing from?
So I definitely have like filmmaking influences. So like some of my favorite directors are like Spike Lee. I love Spike Lee. I love Quentin Tarantino, John Singleton, Kevin Smith. Actually, I'm a big fan of Kevin Smith. I also like Richard Linklater. So those are like the filmmakers I would say I not try to be like or emulate, but I definitely am like inspired and influenced by their directing styles. And I definitely
speak to you.
Yeah, it speaks to me, and I think it also is reflected a little bit in my work as well. So definitely those are like the filmmakers. Now, when I'm doing like Christmas movies or like more comedic projects, I definitely tap into my love of like 90s sitcoms. So I'm a big fan of shows like Martin, Smart Guy, Keenan and Kel, the Jamie Foxx show, Wayne's Bros. So there's a lot of, I kind of take like that silliness, that wild energy, and I like to put that into my comedies because I feel like laughter is a great medicine, and I love. That's why I say like there's not one genre that I'm attached to, but I definitely love the feeling of just kind of captivating people and piquing their interest with different projects.
Yeah, I mean, film and like you said, like we say, laughter, is in every language, and but the same could be in terms of media. Film is the same way. I mean, it could be silent and it speaks to everybody. So it's I love film, and it's funny because, like I mentioned before to you, like my I told my son to take Intro to Film because I loved it, so much when I was in college or whatever. They didn't find the same passion that I did. I was like happy that they squeaked out with like D plus, and and I was kind of like, how does that happen? I was like, and I found myself watching like El Norte and explaining it to them, all those classic films that they made us watch when we took a show. But, So,
no, absolutely, it's not for everybody.
No, it really isn't. Did you have what were the biggest obstacles in making Bite that you found? And anything from like casting to, I mean, what was your biggest obstacle, would you say?
So I think the biggest obstacle when it came to Bite Me was just environment. So, as indie filmmakers, like we didn't have a studio, we were actually filming at someone's house. So you can't control, the outside noise. There were some lawnmowers that came on while we were filming. There just a lot of outside noise, so we'd have to stop, or we'd have to go back, and so we were pressed for time because we shot all of this in one day. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so we were hustling, but definitely the external factors, just like noise, airplanes, like weed whackers and lawnmowers and all of those things, because you can't control that. You can't just go out and be like, hey, can you guys stop, or yell at the planes like, hey, can you stop flying over the house? You kind of just got to deal with what you have. But thankfully, it didn't set us back too much. Like there were a few delays because of the noise, but overall we were able to complete the film, which was what our goal was. So, but definitely I would say that would be the biggest challenge, was just all of the outside noise.
Yeah, it's funny because we're gonna hopefully get to shoot. We're gonna get to shoot something for the Hollow ourselves, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're using my basement as the scene, and I keep thinking my dog's gonna bark. It's like I know it's gonna happen, and the scene. And Calix knows the movie. The scene is supposed to be in like a person's home, but not like a hospice setting. So my dog barking is not really gonna be.
Yeah, it might not fit.
It's like all of a sudden this dog appears in the nursing home, and we have to make him like a therapy dog. It's like, okay, and casting as the therapy dog. So what do you? Yeah. So what are you working on? What do you have on in your calendar for your coming up? And what are you working on now?
So I'm working on a few feature films in different genres. So actually another Christmas movie, a romantic comedy, kind of like a wild romantic comedy. Then in terms of shorts, my wife and I are actually collaborating again on like another horror project.
Oh, nice.
An anthology. So she will write a few of the episodes or the shorts. I'll write a few, and then I'll be doing like the directing and the editing. And it's kind of like in the vein of like Tales from the Crypt and Tales from the Dark Side. So different stories, and then putting it together, it compiles like different kind of vignettes, different horror vignettes. So definitely excited about that. And then honestly, yeah, just trying to stay busy, because the beauty of film is that you always have chances to write different projects and explore different stories. So that's my goal. It's just to always stay busy and kind of keep working.
Yeah, that's the name of the game, right? Just keep working.
Most definitely.
and write the stories. It's like I have a million stories sitting there, and it's just like, and it's like, I'll get to that one. I'll get there. Don't worry.
One of these days.
One of these days, I'll finish that up. Now, your wife, you said she's going to be working with you on the anthology. Does she also enjoy the horror, or is she as diverse as you are in terms of the genre and what she writes?
She's definitely diverse as well, but she actually is a horror fan just like me. But I would say she can't handle all of the gore and stuff as much as I can. But she definitely loves the horror stories. We watch horror movies together. So yes, but she definitely doesn't want to be in a box either. So she kind of dibbles and dabbles in different genres also. Because I think it's good as filmmakers to be diverse, so that way people don't just say, "Oh, you're just the horror guy," or "You're just the Christmas person." It's good to have different levels and different layers.
Right. Where did your love of horror come from, you think?
That's a good question. I would say probably as a little kid, even though as a kid it all used to scare me, but like watching the original Nightmare on Elm Street. So, seeing Freddy Krueger and me watching that at nighttime as a little kid, me thinking, oh, this is cool. I can handle this, but then not being able to sleep and being, afraid that Freddy's going to come get me. But I just like that feeling. I mean, I didn't like it at the time, but getting older, I like that feeling of like the jump scares and watching horror movies with audiences and seeing the different ways characters die and the different villains that people can come up with. It always kind of captivated me. So I think that's kind of where my love of horror came from. It started from fear, being a little kid watching it, to getting older and realizing this is cool. This is a cool genre to play with.
Cool. Where do you think where do you think the future of horror is going to be now with like even the onset of AI and like my son works in music and he was showing me at the studio the other day about with the audio and how the speakers now are becoming more an immersive experience when you're listening to music. And so where do you think the future of horror could go? Like just if you were to think about it for a second with AI and the onset of AI and all these new things that they're able to bring to an audience. I kind of where do you think it would be? Just to fantasize about it for a second, because that's I always think that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely a lot of like possibilities for horror stories because I know like with AI they have like the deep fakes and things like that where you can take someone's face and put it on someone else's body and they can do things. So like the first thing that comes to mind is like a horror movie where someone is framing you for like murder or something like that, and there's no way to prove otherwise because you're on video and it's your face or your voice doing certain things. And so I think just the fact that you can use your voice and your likeness is scary, but also I think there are a lot of like story possibilities of like different angles and different ways you can go with that, exploring like AI's involvement in our world. I think there's definitely a lot of ideas and a lot of different directions horror stories could come out.
Yeah, I think that I think as the technology evolves, the stories will evolve with it. And at the same time, the experience the audience is going to have and how they interact with the horror genre is gonna evolve too. I mean, because like right now, if you think about it, it's like okay, so they like when you go to like Orlando or whatever, they pump the smells through the the theater so that you can experience it and it becomes a more sensory experience. But I keep I keep wondering with the onset of AI that a horror genre will become a more visceral experience as well. And and that to me that fascinates me, that that's a possibility, and it could be on the forefront of what we're going to be experiencing down the road. Maybe not in my lifetime, but it'll be there, my kids' lifetime and my grandkids' lifetime.
Hey, but you never know. Things are evolving very, very, very fast.
This is true. And it's very, very hard. It's very, very hard to keep up. Like I said, when I went into my son's studio, and they had a 3D image of a head. And then they had and the head was in a box, and then the box was all around and had all the little speakers, and he could move the sound by frequency so that it was optimal for the listener. So if let's say so many hertz was better at this angle and a better immersive audio experience, he could take out that sound and that frequency, and he could put it in that speaker so that it could be a different kind of experience for the listener. And I was like, oh my God. It's like, when we go to New York or concert halls or whatever, and we talk about acoustics, it's like now we're able to physically manipulate the acoustics by frequency and hertz. I know. And I was like, can you imagine, like when you do horror, right? The infrasound that makes a person scared being able to be pumped through the speakers while while there's something, and you'll get such a visceral reaction, and it just brings everything to a new level. And to me, that's like it's like totally exciting. Totally exciting.
No, yeah, that's nightmare fuel.
Exactly. That's what it's about. It's like, oh my gosh, So, and I'm just watching Kelly. She's just watching. She's just like, oh my God, listen to this geek just keep on going. She's way too happy for 9 o'clock at night.
Hey, Juan. I mean, it's an interesting idea. I went to something that tried to be like immersive, but they had people. It was Halloween. They had people dressed up, and they would come scare you while the movie was playing. And then they played. I think it was the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one to scare people too.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it work? Did you get scared?
I don't really get scared much. So I'm not very jumpy, but I mean, I actually have for you when you text me, it's from When the Nightmares on Elm Street. And so I had just got back to my house and it's like dark and you text me, I just hear this like scream and this loud crash. I was like, it's a good thing I'm not jumpy, but it would have been a real good scare.
Now, let me explain how I met Calix. Calix worked in an actual haunted house, okay, like a spook house where you go and pay your money or whatever. So the haunted house, after it closed, was doing a paranormal investigation of the actual haunted attraction. Okay, so she worked there as one of the haunters, and she was our guide because we didn't know we were going. It was like a factory, right? It was like multiple levels, and we would separate people, and I would be on one floor with a group, and Gail would be on another floor with a group, and then we would switch because not only was the haunt itself a haunted house, it was a haunted building. So we did a paranormal investigation, and Calix happened to be helping us, and that was like how many years ago?
Maybe 3. I don't know. Time goes so fast.
And since then, we've been working together, and doing paranormal stuff and film stuff and
Cool.
yeah. So she with our filmmaking and stuff, not only is she in film, but she brings more to the table because she actually works in the profession of, well, her second job in the profession of scaring people. Yeah. So
that's perfect. Yeah. That's perfect lead up.
Perfect, right? It's like we got all the ingredients,
And are you both like write and direct as well, or do you kind of split different duties when you're making your projects?
We kind of fun. You go. You. I've been talking a lot.
I'm a writer director. That's really what I do. So yeah, writer director producer. I make my own.
Yeah, and what I do is, well, the documentary, obviously somebody is filming me doing what we're doing, and then Calix and one of our other friends is gonna help me with the script that I wrote. So that'll be my first directing job, and it's like, I keep saying, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, and I have no idea what I'm doing, but it'll work out. It'll work out. I keep telling myself that. However it turns out, it'll turn out. It'll work out. It'll work out. How bad could it be? It could be pretty bad, but how bad could it be? Yeah. So, oh yes. So you were talking about you were gonna you have an anthology that you were gonna do. Anything for BET coming up or anything like that? Any projects, or you can't tell me?
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I can't say anything yet, but I do have some things that, the way I put it is, I have things in the pipeline.
Yeah.
But once things are official, then of course I can spread. But that's the thing when like you work with these companies, a lot of them is like, don't say anything until it's time. So
yeah.
But I will say I have some things in the works.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. Did I forget anything, Calix? Did I forget anything, Clarence? Anything that you want to share? Any of your accolades that we didn't go into? I know you have a list of accolades.
Like do accolades. I mean, I'll just say some of the projects that I've made have won awards or have screened at film festivals, but I'm a very, very modest guy, so it's like I just want to keep making the next project, and I'm thankful and grateful that Bite Me was selected for the Hollow, so I really appreciate that. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for even wanting to speak with me on your show.
Oh, no, it's our pleasure. We're all about, elevation and participation when it comes to everybody, and even if we're paranormal adjacent, we all share the same love of what we do, and that should be celebrated,
So 100%.
Did he give social media? Are you on social and all that?
Yes. Oh, give me your socials, and let's see if I can get it. I'm gonna stream it down at the bottom here as soon as I can get my banners up. It's so okay. Oh, that's not it. All right.
So I have two places where you can follow me and kind of keep in touch. So I am C the 4. So the letter C.
Say it again. C.
So C, the letter C,
Mhm.
and then the,
Mhm.
and then the number 4. So C the 4.
Yep.
And then my other more of like the company page is Williams the number 4 Productions
So where is that? Like Instagram, Facebook,
on
website?
Instagram, both on Instagram.
Okay.
All right. It's gonna come across, and you tell me if I need to change it. Let's see if it comes on our little ticker. Hold on. Probably started that other one. Didn't come yet.
Watching, I'm
I
waiting.
know, I'm watching it. We're watching it go across. Come on. Work with me. No, where is it? All right, let's see if it goes through now. Did it go now? Nope, now it just stopped. There. Yeah, there it goes.
Oh, yeah, okay. I see. Yeah, C the 4, Williams 4 Productions. Yep. And then of course
Yes.
just the at sign. But yeah, no,
I forgot the at.
that's it.
Let me fix it. All right.
Excellent.
Better. Yay! Look at that. I'm gonna let that run just a few minutes so our viewers can do it. You know? Anything for the good of the order, Calix, before we let our friend go.
No, I think that's it.
All right. That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to show it. And you know what we'll do, or if you don't mind, and it's completely optional. Before we play it, when we have the holo, if you want to record a statement that I could play, or you know, just make a statement about the film or whatever that I could play either before or after, since obviously I know you're not going to be flying in from California, you know, so that I could play on the screen before we show the film, that would be fantastic. So it gives everybody a little bit of time outside of this, you know, to see you and you know and meet you in a way, and that's that.
Excellent. You want me to do that now or do that separately, or how do you want to?
Separately, you can just send it to me as a file.
Oh yeah, I can do that.
You know, and that way I could put it all together for when we start doing when I start doing the list of showings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, just let me know when your deadline is, and I'll make sure to get it to you before.
Before.
Yeah, before the deadline.
Before. All right, that'll be cool. All right, and now I'm going to try to play my movie, and then we will be done. Let's see if I could do this. Let's see if it works. Hopefully, I don't know. We're going to try it.
Fingers crossed.
Huh? Let's see. Let's try it. Let's see if it works.